Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and it's that time again for me to explore your latest requests and recommendations for metal music on Bandcamp. And hey, if you're new here, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Alright, I've got quite a few to get through. The number of requests lately have been kind of overwhelming, honestly, so I'm going to try to maybe do more this time, just to clear the queue, to make room for some more space. I've been thinking about this segment more and more as kind of like a virtual battle of the bands, and so we're going to start with Geisterfahrer with Vivisection Parade. This is a Boston, Massachusetts band. Ooh yeah, getting a little technical here. We got deathcore, death grind, grindcore, mathcore. Album cover's interesting to me. Hopefully YouTube won't be mad about that. Otherwise I'll have to cut it out. I'm liking what I'm hearing here. It's a very raw production. Just gives it a little bit more of like an old school feel. Reminds me of listening to a lot of these groups. Reminds me of listening to like Ed Gein back in the day. I wonder if that's an influence. We also got Queen Mab Rehab. Great title. Those mathcore kids, they're always big fan of wordplay in the titles. This little chuggy part here, a little breakdown kind of stuff. Ooh, like that little squealy part. Bringing out the panic chords. It's very dissonant, noisy parts. Good, this is right up my alley. I am a big sucker for this kind of stuff. There was a time where this was kind of like my favorite genre. And I like that they've implemented the like brutal vocals in it too. Ooh, nice. Nice nights there. I like that. Very like hypnotic. Yeah, this is good stuff. I'm liking it. Oh, they got some other cool album covers here too. Got another song. So just a 5-song EP. Name your price too, so you can't really go wrong there. I love the noisiness and dissonance combined. You heard it here, folks. Copywritten noisiness. Good stuff, yeah. So that is Geisterfahrer with Vivisection Parade. Give it a listen. Alright, switching things up entirely, we've got, oh good lord, Ändlös Otukt with Darya. And I'm very sorry for horribly mispronouncing that, I'm sure. It's a Portugal project, deconstructed nihilistic atmospheric black noise. So definitely more for you like people who like drone. I love when there's a more like industrialized aspect to it, which there definitely is here. I started with this track because I like these vocals. They're very eerie. I feel like it's like a ghost like whispering in my ear. Very unsettling. Perfect. This is like good Halloween music too, honestly. I'm not sure off the top of my head when this episode will be dropping, or maybe after Halloween, but good spooky time music. Reminds me a little bit of Boobs of Doom too, who I've talked about before, I think mainly on the website, not necessarily on the YouTube channel yet. But if you like this, you should check them out too. Yeah, this is my stuff right here. The more kind of like Yakamoto kind of influenced sounding stuff, the more like Silent Hill soundtrack sounding music. That's where you get me with this style, because I'm generally not big into drone, but there's certain things from a soundtrack perspective where I love having it on in the background. Yeah, this has a very Yakamoto kind of flavor to it on some of these more ugly, gnarly sounding tracks. Yeah, I like it. I'm almost surprised at how much I like it. So yeah, that is Andia. I'm not even going to try to say it again. The album's called Darya. I have it in my collection now, so I can't actually tell you how much the digital is, but you should definitely check this project out. Alright, switching gears again, we've got Breaking the Will of God from Arboroth. It's just a single. And I recall it being kind of like groove metal-y. Name your own price for this too. Nice guitar there. Oh, I like the... Yeah, groove metal, heavy metal, extreme metal. Little Lamb of God in there. The vocals, too. I feel like this vocalist is a Randy Blythe fan. So there's definitely some of that flair. Reminds me of, like, older Lamb of God. If we go back to, like, the Burn the Priest days. Yeah, a little bit of Pantera in there, too. Oh, I like the layering of the vocals. That's nice. Yeah, this will be a shorter one. These guys are out of Arizona. Looks like they've got another album called Weed and Whiskey. But this is their 2020 track. Nice guitar. Yeah, the production could use a little work. It's a little muddy, and the guitar tone is kind of generic feeling. But I feel like with the right person helping with the production side of things and stepping things up a little bit with the songwriting, there's a foundation of some cool stuff here. So check out Arboroth with Breaking the Will of God. Alright, then we've got Hussar from Ontario with All Consuming Hunger. Death metal. Yeah, feedback opener. This is a just 2-song little EP here. Another Name Your Own Price one. I'm always a fan of sharing those. So again, it's like, what have you got to lose? Nothing. It's interesting that this is a black metal, a death metal album, because it looks like a black metal album from the fonts to the cover. It looks like second wave black metal that could have come out from like Burzum or Darkthrone. Yeah, this is just very raw, ugly death metal. Let's see what they have to say in here. Underground, unique take on death metal. Pummeling continues, a new single. Oh, it's a single, technically. Yeah, lots of atmosphere, definitely. Oh, here we go. Got a little transition here. That was unexpected. Bringing back, again, kind of the Lamb of God reference on that guitar. A little clunky with this transition. I'm trying to figure out how this is all going to fit together. This all chuggy, kind of disjointed sounding. It's got that, I'll often compare bands like this to like broken, rusty machinery. It sounds like the gear's trying to turn over and it like can't. Check out this other track here too, Citadel. Nice little faster one there. It's kind of same feedback as with the last band though. Like, I think for the purpose of this band, the production, you don't want to step it up too much. But I do feel like there's some areas where it could be cleaned up a little bit more so we could hear everything. And it just needs a little bit more flair in the songwriting too, because I get 1,000,001 bands that kind of sound like this. But again, like, there's some solid stuff happening here. There's an amount of technicality here too that intrigues me. So I'm always interested when I have these bands reach out with these kind of rawer outings, and then later on I'll see them come back around either on their own or through a PR with something even more fleshed out. But yeah, that is Hussar with All Consuming Hunger. Alright, then we've got Chelidon Frame with a little bit more drone for you. This is a project out of Italy that I've featured a few times before. And yeah, this one a more like kind of peaceful, blissful, ethereal kind of side of the genre. So this almost like reminds me of stuff I've played, like the binaural beats that you like go to sleep to. It's supposed to put you like in the right like REM cycle. Oh, I like that part with like the almost like rain. It's great fit with headphones. Definitely listen to this band with headphones. But yeah, just more pure atmosphere, good background stuff, good studying or working music. Not distracting, but definitely has a lot of ambience and atmosphere to it. And just good dude. Always happy to hear from Chelidon Frame. And yeah, it's just So it's nice to form kind of these longer lasting relationships with some of these projects, even when their music isn't necessarily like your favorite genre. So 3 tracks, good stuff. I've run into a lot of people out there that say that they're totally down with the drone, so I continue to feature it, and Chelidon Frame is just another name to know if you are one of those people. Alright, let's do Gnot with Dead Birds. Another, like, I know I'm covering a lot on this episode, but they're all kind of like mostly shorter releases, so it kind of balances out. It's a St. Petersburg, Russia project. Black gaze, post-black, that sort of thing. We got this nice slow build, and then boom! Really liking this cover. Like the kind of like oriental scheme to it. Maybe that's not the best word anymore. The more like Eastern kind of art style. If you're into stuff like Death Heaven, Vatnet Viskar, more recently Mol, who, check out Mol, like they're excellent. And I feel like I'm actually pronouncing their name semi-correctly now, because the dude from Cabal, who I had on the podcast, mentioned them and made me stop saying Mole, or Maul. We've got that weird, like, O character in the middle. That's good. More, like, atmosphere, just in a different direction, more aggro vibes. I like the layering. This is a good example of, I feel like, where you get that raw production just right, where it's clean enough where you can hear everything and there's that kind of beauty to it, but it's also just got just enough edge so it doesn't feel too, like, glossy. And you really need that with this kind of music. It needs to have that, still have that kind of tinge of that black metal aesthetic to it, so you don't want to lose that. It's got to still have some of that essence. Just a little touch of the burzum in it. You got to keep that. This is very pretty. I like these tremolo melodies here. It's very like cathartic, hopeful sounding music, but always with a touch of kind of melancholy. Oh, I like this. I always like when these bands do these little like detours into kind of more like rock song structures too. This is something I'd almost expect from like a Hope's Fall album. We got Spark. Just again, giving you little samples of these. The purpose is not necessarily to give you full songs, but to just, you know, wet your whistle enough that you get interested in checking them out on your own. This one looks like, oh yeah, this one sounds like it has a really nice build to it too. Another Name Your Price album too. This, I gotta say, this may be my favorite of the bunch so far. Because it's kind of like all around checked off a lot of boxes. Definitely something, had I the time, I would consider for a full review. But definitely give Gnot a listen. Alright, then we got Tombstone with Awakening of the Darkness. Sure, black metal out of Indonesia. West Java, Indonesia. Always cool when I get bands from kind of lesser treaded grounds. So certain bands, certain countries I get tons of bands from, and other ones where I barely hear from them at all. Indonesia definitely being the latter. But they've got a cool little scene down there, especially when it comes to black metal, and also like brutal death metal. There's some really raunchy, disgusting brutal death metal out of Indonesia that still is kind of like back in that 90s phase with the really like ugly, brutal death metal album covers. Yeah, more of those atmospheric qualities, not as like kind of straight up black gaze as that last band. This is more, I'd say, just kind of like depressive black metal. Like the little interlude here, seems like they got some dynamics to play with. Oh, they got some covers on here, I just realized. We got a Carpathian Forest cover, and there's also a cover of Transylvanian Hunger from Dark Throne. Just letting their influences be known, wear them on their sleeve. It's not very good too, they got the production pretty down, keeping it sounding pretty similar. Check out some more originals here. Unbounded Insolence. Slower builder here. I like this one. This is kind of like trance-like. Reminds me of like staring into a bonfire. This little head bobber. Yeah, I mean, it seems like these guys know exactly what they set out to do, and they're executing it. Me, personally, I'm kind of more into, like, kind of the more modern edge of black metal these days, and kind of new ideas, but, you know, sometimes I like to go back to this old style, too, and on that front, I have nothing negative to say about it. I think they've kind of nailed the sound and approach. But yeah, that is Tombstone with The Awakening of the Darkness. Alright, and last but not least, we have Fog of Marina from California, San Jose. Black gaze, post-black, doom metal, post-metal, all sorts of tags here. Sludge, lots of things going on. Now, I think the thing that struck me in terms of critique when I first checked this out, I like the mask, by the way. You know, great minds think alike. But the vocals could use a little work. I find the vocals, honestly, if I'm just being like totally honest, a little bit on the grating side. But that can like kind of complement the mournfulness of the instrumentation you get going on here too. And again, more of that like depressive vibe to it. But yeah, in terms of like, if I want to keep re-listening to this, I want a little bit more from the vocals, but I'll see if there's some other stuff here. I like this part. I like that little kind of proggy almost riff there. Just a little chuggy part. This reminds me of Alaskan. You know, this is more of like a sludge track. Yeah, I think the vocals work a little bit better here. When you keep them a little bit more short and syncopated, but when you start to do those dragged out, sustained notes, you lose me a little bit there. Yeah, I would say more punctuated, kind of shorter screams as opposed to these long wails. But maybe that's just me. Like, I know that also, like, there's a little bit of the doom camp in there, which I'm just not as into, personally, as a genre. And some people like this. Like, sometimes I've heard bands kind of incorporate that really well, too, where it's just like, dude, that dude just sounds fucking disturbed. Maybe you're going for that, too. But yeah, if you're into, like, melancholic, depressive, just wailing, kind of, like, grief-ridden music, I think this is a good bet for you. With a little tinge of hope, too, I'm hearing in these melodies. So yeah, Fog of Marina with their self-titled. Alright, y'all, that is plenty for now. Plenty of for you to go off from and, you know, check out all these songs. And let me know down in the comments, as always, which one was your favorite. And if you ended up buying any of these, which one? I'd love hearing about that. Also, if you have ideas for other bands that I should check out, just let me know. But that'll kind of do it for this one. As always, in the comments, you can check out our social media where you can follow us, the email newsletter, metaltrenches.com, for even more reviews and content. And just stick around, because I got plenty more videos coming right after this one, not just in this series, but also, again, full album reviews, tier lists, interviews of bands on the podcast, you name it, we've got it. And then, of course, our Patreon and Subscribe Star, if you want to, just $1 a month, you know, gets you early access to content and it helps me keep this train rolling. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.